Thank you, Game Up, for sponsoring the podcast. Game Up's a hard hydration and adult beverage with a special blend of electrolytes. Comes in 4 great flavors currently: fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape.
Absolutely. Full flavor, low carb, and only 110 calories per can. And we thank you, Game Up, for sponsoring the show. UFC 299. Chevy, I like every fight on this main card. I'm pretty excited about it. I was in a hurry today. Are there some other fights you want people to check out before we get to that main card?
Yeah, honestly, this is one of the best fight cards on paper in like the last 5+ years, top to bottom for sure. We're not going to go over all the fights on the prelims, but it is worth watching every single fight on this card, even early prelims. So a couple big ones to look out for. Fun fight, Michel Pereira versus Mikhail Olizejczyk. That's a good matchup. Pereira is great anytime he fights. He's jumping off the cage and doing like weird dances and backflips onto his opponent when they're on the ground. Also, look out for Pedro Munoz versus Kyler Phillips. That's an excellent bantamweight matchup. That should be a really fun fight striking wise. Gamrot versus RDA is on the prelims of this card. Yeah. Curtis Blades versus Jaltian Almeida is the featured bout on the prelims. What a great heavyweight matchup. Very big step up. Tough matchup for Jaltian. So we're going to find out exactly where he is. And Curtis, if he wants to get back in the title contention, he really needs to get this win and steal some of this hype. But let's move on to this killer main card. Let's starting off with Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. What a great card to start, or fight to start off the card.
Absolutely. Yan is 16-5, 7 KOs, 1 sub, 8 decision. The big thing is he's a former champ, but he's lost 3 in a row. Now, 2 of those were by split decision. One to former champ Aljamain Sterling, the other one to Sean O'Malley, that he arguably won. Now, his last loss to Merab was a little more convincing of a loss. However, guess what? He joins the club. Everybody's losing to that way to Merab these days. So no harm, no foul there. As for Song Yadong, 21-7 and 21 wins, 7 losses, 1 no contest. Might be 9 KOs, 3 subs, 9 decisions. He's won 5 out of his last 6. So he's hot right now, and he's got momentum, whereas Yan doesn't, okay? So Yan needs this win a little bit more. I am not going to be surprised because Song Yadong keeps improving if he pulls this off, and I would consider it upset despite the fact that Han's lost 3 in a row because of who he is. But I'm going to go Yan still. I'm going to say this actually ends up being a KO win for him because I think these guys are going to throw down. So I'm going to go round 2 TKO for Yan.
Yeah, has Yan lost his edge with these? I think he's lost 4 out of his last 5, 3 in a row.
Disqualification as well.
Okay, yes. And then, or is he just having tough luck? I think we're going to find out on Saturday because Yan on paper is a great matchup for him. He's a striker. Yan would have the wrestling edge for sure, maybe a power advantage, but Yadong is very explosive and he is powerful as well. Very good matchup, but I don't think it gets much better for Yan. With that being said, I do think maybe he is exiting his prime while Yadong is coming into his prime. He's been in the UFC for a long time. He's still young though. So I think he's just now reaching his prime. He's like 26 or something. So I'm going to pick him. I think we get a war like you're saying, but I'm going to pick Yadong by decision.
Okay. You know, I'm not going to be surprised that happened. Like I said, I'm kind of seeing what you're saying, but I'm still going to hedge my bets on Yan, but I'm interested in this fight.
Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena. This guy is 16-2, 11 KOs, 2 subs, 3 decisions. More importantly, he's 5-0 in the UFC right now, and he's won 16 straight. So he's 16-2. Basically, you might as well just be undefeated at this point. This guy lost his first 2, and he didn't like it, and he's never looked back. But Gilbert Burns, different animal. 22-6, 6 KOs, 9 subs, 7 decisions. He's won 3 out of his last 5, but we're talking about a guy that some of the losses are to former champ Kamaru Usman, who, yeah, he got stopped, but he also rocked Usman at a time when nobody was doing that. Also, Khamzat Chimaev, he gave him his toughest fight at welterweight, other than Usman, all right, and he really brought it to him. So Burns is a top level fighter. This is a big test for Jack. I'm gonna go. This is gonna be a decision, I bet, but I'm gonna go Jack.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of both guys, but I'm big on JDM right now. But Gilbert is the hype train killer, I think. I feel like I have to give the grappling advantage to Burns. Obviously, with his grappling pedigree, got to give him the advantage. I think the striking is a bit closer. JDM has great boxing, both speed and power, but Burns is durable and he's also powerful. So I think key to victory for Jack would be to land a lot of body shots early to try to take that, some of Gilbert's will that he showed against Hosma and some of that cardio away. I'm pretty torn on this one, but I think I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns by decision. I think this has potential to be fight of the night, but I think I'm going to pick Gilbert Burns by decision.
All right.
If Jack wins, I think he gets a knockout, but I don't see that happening. Kevin Holland versus former Bellator fighter MVP.
Michael Page making his debut. He's 21-2, 13 KOs, 3 subs, 5 decisions. He's won 7 out of his last 8. He's a highlight reel fighter. Kevin Holland, 25-10 and 1, 14 KOs, 7 subs, 4 decisions. This guy's had a fight of the night. He's had performance of the night 6 times. He's tied for most wins in a calendar year. He's had most wins in the middleweight division, most bouts in a 12-month period. He's a workhorse. All right. Now, he hasn't been as active lately, and I think he's been trying to stay focused. So I think a lot of people, I don't know, I haven't looked at the odds, would favor Michael Venom Page because he's that high-level striker making his UFC debut. I'm going to go Holland here. And for the simple reason, I don't think MVP has had this level of competition. I think this is going to be a big jump. I think Bellator really kind of helped him along in how they picked fights for him. That's not going to happen here. So I don't want to say I'm hoping for MVP because I like Holland too. But, hopefully for his sake that he has a good showing. Maybe he does win. Maybe I'm wrong and he KOs Holland. But I could easily see him getting taken down here and submit. Now, that being said, Holland doesn't always have the best fight IQ, and he does things he shouldn't do and maybe get into a striking match, which would probably be a mistake here. But if Holland's had it screwed on right, I think he takes him down and submits him. Round 2. I'm
right with you. I'm a big fan of MVP style, and we know Kevin likes to put on a show and probably will strike with him, like you were saying. That being said, I'm just not convinced that MVP can do all that flashy stuff effectively against a UFC caliber fighter. So I'm going to pick Holland by decision, even if it ends up being a stand-up fight. I think Holland is tall and rangy enough and clever enough to avoid getting hit with a lot of that stuff and land his own things. So I'm going to pick Holland by decision. That being said, I don't care how this fight goes. I want to see if it's a catchweight or whatever. Or he comes up. I want to see Wonder Boy versus MVP. I don't know why we made any other fight than that. That is all I want to see for MVP. But I retract my previous statement about Burns and JDM possibly getting fight of the night. This will be fight of the night. Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis.
Benoit is 13-1-1, 4 KOs, 9 subs. He's 5-1 in the UFC. He lost his debut by decision. He hasn't really looked back. Performance of the night a couple times, but Dustin Poirier, this is his toughest competition yet. 29-8-1, 14 KOs, 8 subs, 7 decisions. He's a former interim UFC lightweight champion. Fight of the night 8 times. Submission of the night. That's right, back when they did submissions of the night. Yeah, 1 time. Performance of the night 4 times. This guy's just been in wars, right? And he's battle tested. He's been through it all. And rumor has it, is he's talked about this could be his last fight. Now, I don't think that's if he wins, but if he loses, this could be it. Now, obviously, if another McGregor fight came his way or something like that. So I think what he's saying is he has 1 foot kind of out the door.
Always dangerous.
Which is bad sign, yes. But maybe I'm just not ready to say goodbye to Dustin Poirier yet because I'm going to pick him. All right? And I think it'll be a tough battle. But unless Dustin gets knocked out, and he's been through some wars, and he did get caught in his last fight, so it is possible, and I am picking with my heart. I'm going to say Dustin's going to survive the early onslaught. He's going to start to get in there. He's going to get a little nasty in the clinch. He's going to do what Dustin does, and I think he's going to take him down. I think it's going to be some ground and pound and maybe a submission. I'm going to go round 3 TKO. Dustin.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Benoit, but there are very few fighters I would root for versus Dustin, first off. So I'm impressed with Benoit's ability to come back after being hurt, and then he finishes his opponents. But that is exactly where Dustin thrives. He's a killer once he has you hurt. And even if Dustin is the one to get stunned first, when they start throwing in the pocket, I pick Dustin over anyone in the UFC, I think. So I think that's how the fight's going to end up. I don't know exactly when it's going to get to that point, but at some point they're going to be standing in the pocket versus one another, and Dustin's going to land the shots and slip the punches from Benoit. So I'm going to pick Dustin. I'll say TKO. I'll agree with you. I'll say round 3.
Okay. All right, we agree on one.
Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera.
Does O'Malley win? Randy asks. Oh, Randy, we're going to talk about that. Chito Vera is 23, 8-1, 8 KOs, 10 subs, 5 decisions. He's won 5 out of his last 6 with that lone loss to being Corey Sandhagen. Performance of the night 5 times. Most finishes in UFC Bantamweight division history. So keep that in mind. Sean O'Malley, 17-1-1, 12 KOs, 1 subs, 4 decisions. He's the current Bantamweight champion. Fight of the night 3 times. Performance of the night 5 times. You're seeing a trend here. These two are very exciting fighters. Obviously, the big thing is Vera has that 1 win over O'Malley. We laughed. Mentally undefeated. We laughed at that shit, and we should have. It's stupid. But at the same time, there's looking like there's possibly a little validity to this. This man has continued to improve. He's shown that besides the talent, he's somewhat of a fight nerd when you really listen to him. And I think that's part of his improvement is, him and his coach, Tim Welch, who seems like he's also just loves this game. They put a lot of thought into his stuff and they work really hard at it. And you can see the improvement. So that being said, has he improved over Chito since that last fight? Yes, I believe the short answer is yes. He has made a lot of improvement. However, Chito's an interesting fighter because he's the kind of guy, we've seen him in his fights with Font and even with Cruz. Like, he plays the long game. Like, Chito, especially in a 5-round fight, he can take some hits and he can get stronger as that fight goes on. If this goes into the later rounds, how's this going to work out for O'Malley here? When we get to round 4, round 5. Now, he knocked out Aljamain in the 2nd round. And, the other fight that he had was competitive was with Yan. That was a 3-round fight. So I'm interested in that. I'm going to pick O'Malley. I'm going to say he clips him. And I'm going to say this show is going to keep going on for a little while longer. I'll say he does it in round 2 again. Because that seems to be when he's going to win. He almost, feels that there. But, and I'm not saying O'Malley can't win a decision, but this fight's going to get very interesting the later it goes. I'm just going to say, I would not be surprised if Chito finishes this guy in round 4 or round 5. I'm going to, right now, looking at their early fight and just comparing the different improvements, I like O'Malley early on. I'll say he catches him round 2 TKO.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I don't think we've seen that much improvement, specifically, stylistically. I think both guys are very similar to when they fought before stylistically. And I think that's what it really comes down to. As you were saying, Chito comes on late. I think it would be very wise of him to make a concerted effort to try to start earlier in this fight, put some pressure on Sean, make him uncomfortable, go for the leg kicks to show that, give him a look that he's going to try to hit that nerve again and deaden that leg like he did in the first fight. I just believe stylistically Chito is a bad matchup for Sean because he can fight at that range that Sean likes to fight at, because Sean is so much taller than most guys in the division. He can fight much further away, but Chito fights at that range and he uses a lot of kicks. He'll kick the legs. He'll kick everywhere, and he's good at coming inside of that range. But I think it just makes it tough for Sean. And he's pretty defensively sound too, especially at that range, which makes it tougher for Sean. So I'm going to pick Vera again. I think he gets the TKO, but I do think we get those couple slow rounds, and I'm going to pick Vera later on in the fight. I'm going to say TKO in round 4. I think the O'Malley hype train is coming to its end.
All right, we shall see. I'm going to say I think this guy's going to roll on to one more, and then I think he's going to unfortunately meet the Marab train, which is going to happen for either one of these guys. So.
Yeah. And Marab, when he gets it, Maybe Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah.
I don't know who else beats him up
at this point.
Stylistically, yeah.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.